So here we are. It hardly seems possible that it was just 11 weeks ago that you and I first started this crazy adventure, right? It seems like it went by very quickly, very slowly at times, if that makes sense. But still, it's hard to believe that we started this just 11 weeks ago. And now this is our last day, and many of you are going back to school, starting school, college maybe, or different grade in high school, whatever it may be. And so I just wanted to, I guess, reflect a little bit on the summer and like what's coming up. So what we managed to do very successfully, I think, and what I think I tried to explain to you in all of your interviews is create our own little bubble here for just a little while. You know, a kind of a Catholic bubble where we've been able to pray together daily, to learn about the faith and have good, honest discussions about the faith and about all these different topics and everything. So I hope that it's been as good of an experience for you as it has been for me, and just kind of like being able to be together and during this time to grow in faith together and work together towards a common goal. So sure, I can definitely relate to St. Peter, you know, at the Transfiguration, where he said, you know, oh, let's build a tent for everybody and we'll just stay up here. That's great. But now, you know, many of you are going back to, I guess, reality, your real life, your real job, whatever it may be. But that doesn't mean that you can't take the elements from this summer and apply it to your life in a profound way, or in a deeper way that in your day-to-day obligations, right? So we talked about how grace builds on nature. So if you're going to a Catholic school or a Catholic high school, Christendom, or you know, here, or John Paul the Great or high school, like, you do have an environment in which the faith there is a structure that you can just plug into. But even when you leave that, when you graduate Christendom or you graduate that Catholic high school, then you have to create your own structure that's not provided for you anymore. It's not a given. So that's when it really is up to you to deliberately and intentionally continue to live your faith. And your ability to attend daily mass or go to adoration and all those things is gonna change throughout life. Maybe you get married and you have young kids and you just can't get to daily mass every day. That's still okay, you know, or you can't have the one-on-one quiet time with Jesus that you have all the time because you got a screaming kid, you know, but that's still okay. And you get the graces to be able to handle that, to be able to deal with whatever's going on in your station in life. And I was kind of thinking about it earlier, like even we have consolation and we have desolation, right? If you're familiar with Ignatian spirituality, the consolation, feeling so good, God is wonderful, great. The desolation, when things aren't going so well, but God stays the same throughout all of those things. He's still the God of the city, still loves you the same. So all of the things we go through, the joys, the trials, the sufferings, the sorrows, all of those are beautiful and tough blessings from God that help us, that give us the opportunity to grow and continue to become who we're supposed to be and to love as we're supposed to love. And that's the beautiful thing about it all. So what did you get out of this summer? I don't know, but that's something worth at least sitting down and thinking about. And as you go, you know, onto this next phase of wherever you're going, how can you still maintain a faith life? How can you still pursue holiness? Even if your environment isn't built to necessarily sustain it, you know, I assume working 12-hour shifts in the ER is going to be tough. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for service, you know, and your prayer, your service to God is seeing those other people and loving them and serving them, and that's prayer in itself if you do it with that intentionality, and that's beautiful. You know, what an awesome calling to be able to do that, to be given that gift of healing, to work one-on-one with so many different kinds of people. So that's wonderful. And everyone else going off to school. If you're just in a public school, what are the ways in which, practical ways, that you can still maintain a prayer life and be aware of God? Sometimes when you're walking down the hall and you see kids over here talking about this and all these things, it's hard to think like, I'm still in God's presence. It's hard to think that in the midst of it, but maybe just being aware of that intentionality of realizing that he's still there in the midst of the mess, in the midst of the craziness. Then there's that chance for peace and hope and the ability to keep going forward regardless of the circumstances. When we're working with clients in freedom coaching, we tell them about something called dollar time. The whole day is made up of 96 15-minute increments. So with people who don't have a regular prayer life, we say, can you give God $1 a day? I mean, all the time is his, right? But if we could just give him $1, maybe when you wake up in the morning, or maybe right before you go to bed, where you intentionally just sit down and be with him and let him love you. And it's not, when we say dollar time, isn't meant to be like where I sit down and I say the rosary and I spout off like all these things, which are all good, but it's that time to just let God like love you and be with you so that you can just be in his presence and let him rejuvenate you. Just $1. Anyone can handle $1, right? There's time for that. So that's one way. If you're going to whatever you're doing, where can you find that $1 to give to God? Because everyone has the same amount of time in a day. Different things happen. It's how we spend those dollars that really is what gives meaning to our lives. So, yeah, I'm so excited for all of you, like in so many ways, because you're like right on the brink of such a cool adventure. Like you're maybe going to school or about to start your job, like in a year or two, or maybe about to go to college. It's so exciting when I see all of you and like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do with their lives? How's God going to call them? How's God going to lead them? And that's something that I enjoy watching and seeing with you guys. And my hope for you is I continue to pray for all of you, because I've prayed a lot for all of you this summer and especially spiritually this summer, so that you can receive grace and you can be open to grace. So when you go on to that next thing, you're full of that grace. It's spilling over in all you do, right? I know I've been harping on that a lot. But keeping the cup full of Christ. And that's why my gift to you is that the soul of the apostolate. I think it was Pius the 10th or 12th, I forget which Pius, but one of the Piuses, like nightstand reading. And some of it is more geared towards like a priest or being like, but it is very applicable. It's very applicable to us. So take the time to read that. Fill your hearts with Christ. Because then when you go, everything is him working through you. And I found through many more error and a lot of trial that is the pre-K outside right now? When I try to do things on my own, it's not going to work. And a lot of maybe this summer and the past couple of years, I don't even know, have been me figuring out that I need to get out of my own way and let Jesus come in and really do it, because that's how it happens. Yeah, I'm very excited. This, like for me, this is a huge blessing for me to be here with all of you, because your energy, your youthful passion is inspiring, and it's wonderful to see. And I really do. I just think like, look at all these saints that are right here. Like it's so exciting. Like we're called to that, right? There's great saints. I'm in the presence of saints, and that's like so amazing to me that like every single one of you can be that, right? So like when you're going out, we've talked about the gift, being that gift. So I was thinking the other day, even more so, like, and how awesome it is that God created us in this manner, that he reveals his glory through his creation, right? God doesn't just sit up there on the throne like, look at me. He is being, he gives life to everything, and it's through all of that we can say, oh, thanks be to God, glory be to God. But when we become the gift that we are, that we're meant to be, then we give that same glory to God through ourselves, right? Because he gave each one of us, each one of you, to the world as a gift, that only you can be. And that's how he reveals his glory to the world, through you. That's amazing, right? That's so incredible that like every single person here is meant to like reveal and manifest God's glory to give him praise. That's like, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by all these people who are like these images, these reflections of God himself. That's so amazing. So whatever, I guess what I'm trying to say is that gift that you are, and being that gift, that loving gift of self, you want to change the world, you want to make that impact, like that's how you do it. You don't do it like everyone wants to do all the big stuff, but you can do that with the small stuff. Making someone like, I don't know, I think I mentioned at one point, like picking something off the floor for someone, or just cleaning a mess that someone else was supposed to clean, and you're just doing it out of an act of service. Or any little way, all of these little ways that we can love, they add up. And all the great saints talk about, like, that were almost in obscurity, but they would do their daily chores and do their little duties that would be beneath so many people with such a great intensity and love. We're told all the time, find your passion. If you find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. As if it's this external thing waiting out here for us to find it. It's like, oh, there it is, Instead of finding your passion, why not bring passion to everything you do, right? Because like, if we are the gift, and what we do is out of love, then that's the passion we take to the mundane and the boring and everything else that seems so, whatever, but that's what gives it its value. Not the work itself, but how you approach it. So that's the gift, and that's all of you. So I just want to thank you for being able to be a part of this summer, to share that gift with me, because I'm like, it's at least on a practical level, everyone's been so awesome with just doing the daily things and doing the schedules, covering, and all of the flexibility you showed with all the changes we had to make with stuff. That's awesome, and I'm truly grateful. And I don't know, there's going to be a day at some point, I'm not working at SASH anymore, hopefully it will still be going for years to come, but I'm always going to look back on, these times, with great, affection and great, I guess, nostalgia at some point when I'm like 80 and I'm like, I was in SASH once. It'll be like tomorrow. But yeah, no, it's amazing to me too, like how much I didn't want to have anything to do with SASH when it was first being started. Like I didn't. There was a committee, and I was already teaching music in the school, and I was like, trying to, do a bunch of stuff in the parish, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's just one more thing. And they're like, oh yeah, you're going to be the assistant director. I'm like, wait, what? And then after a while, it's, well, the director is going to be moving down to North Carolina, so you're taking over as director. I'm like, oh really? So, but it's just one of those things where it's amazing how what you didn't think you were going to like doing, and all of a sudden it just explodes on you, and you're like, whoa, this is cool. So I don't want to ramble at you, I just wanted to share some thoughts. But yeah, I hope that, one, I know that a lot can happen in a year. I'd love to see some of these faces here again next year. I'd love to see, of course, more of the volunteers, that you guys, so many of you are here all summer, or most of it. So that's really, really awesome that you gave your time. Like, these guys are getting paid. Y'all weren't even getting paid, and you still were here for most of the summer. So that's amazing that you were willing to do that. So thank you to the volunteers. So yeah, I hope that I will pray for all of you this year as you go and doing whatever you're doing. And you can always reach out and give me a shout if you want. If I don't know, if if anything's going on, you just want to hear, you know, a sounding board or an opinion on something that's not in your immediate bubble, like total outside view, give me a holler, or just let me know how life's going. We'll be arranging our SASH pizza thing, shindig, in January. So that's for all employees who've ever worked at SASH. We just get together and hang out a little bit. So, yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. So, you can kick that now.